Over the past 20 years, I have spent most of my professional time in the area of organizational learning, innovation, and change. And one of the most important insights that I have come across is this, that there are two different sources of learning that give rise to two different learning cycles. One is learning by reflecting on the experiences of the past. And the other one is learning by connecting with emerging future possibilities. When you look at the existing organization learning methods, at best practices and so forth, you see that almost all of them are based on the same learning model, which is the first one, learning by reflecting on the experiences of the past. However, in working with leadership teams and companies, I realized that more often than not, leaders face challenges that you cannot address just by reflecting on the experience of the past. Sometimes the experience of the past is not very useful. Sometimes it's the very obstacle to come up with a new way of responding to a situation. Seeing that time and again triggered kind of the question in my mind, is there a second source of learning? Not learning by reflecting on the past, but learning by sensing and actualizing emerging future possibilities. So, does that second source of learning exist, learning from the emerging future? And if yes, how does it work? That question put me on a track for the past 15 to 20 years to explore how that really works. And I would like to share two insights from that journey with you that give you the gist of what learning from the emerging future really is. And one of the projects that I did is to interview, together with my colleague Joe Jaworski, a total of 150 leaders and innovators in order to learn from how does it really work that some profound new innovation is really coming into the world. How does the new come into the world? And what we realized is that the accounts that we heard, the first-person stories from the innovators, were somehow quite different to the story kind of that you learn in schools, kind of the normal organizational learning story. And one of them, the Brian Arthur, formerly Stanford University and now Santa Fe Institute, he put a particular simple and accessible language around this other process. And when we asked them how it works, he said, first off, you need to realize that there are two different sources of cognition. One is what he called downloading. And downloading is basically using existing frameworks and lowering them to a situation. And the other one is what he referred to as knowing, a deeper learning cycle that, according to Brian Arthur, is at the core of each profound innovation in science, business, and in society. So we ask him, what really does it take to move beyond the downloading and activate this other deeper process of knowing? And he basically laid out a core process of three main activities, which are observe, observe, observe. So what does it mean, observe, observe, observe? It means stop downloading, discontinue the old habitual ways of operating, the old habits of judgment, and totally immerse yourself into the reality you're dealing with. Totally immerse yourself into the places of most potential, the context that can teach you most about how to deal and respond to the situation and the challenge that you are dealing with. Number two, retreat and reflect. Allow the inner knowing to emerge. So observe is you go out into the world, you talk to the operators, kind of you're out there on the streets. This one is something different. This is kind of everyone comes back together and is sharing what they learned, kind of sharing the golden keys of insight that they gathered across places. And then is listening, as everyone is listening to what has been learned, you do it with a mindset that's not only asking, what is it that's really wanting to emerge in the world there, but also, what is the story of the future that I want to be part of, that we want to be part of? So retreat and reflect, allow the inner knowing to emerge is really about accessing our deeper sources of knowing, our deeper source of intuition. He also said, go to the place of stillness where knowing comes to surface. So this is about connecting to our deeper source of intuition. And then when maybe kind of a spark or two, an idea of a possible future shows up from that, you, number 3, explore them by doing. Act in an instant means you explore these ideas through rapid cycle prototyping to do something very local, very quick, in a way that generates feedback from others, kind of that help you to iterate and refine and evolve your idea. So that's really the first insight that I had. It's an insight that says, yes, there is a process, and that's like a 50,000 foot point of view kind of onto that process. And it deals with, how as individuals, but also as communities, you can deal, you can connect to that deeper source of knowing. But here's the other process. Here's the other insight. The other insight is that this process only works when leaders and innovators and creative people kind of who activate this source of knowing actually do some inner leadership work. And this is the moment kind of when that insight hit me, when kind of Bill O'Brien, kind of the late CEO of Hanover Insurance, summarized his many years of leading transformative change as a CEO with the following sentence. He said, "The success of an intervention depends on the interior condition of the intervener." So let me explain. The success of what I do as a leader, as a change maker, depends on the inner place from that I operate. What is that inner place? The inner place is the quality of attention and intention that I bring into a situation. It's the quality of my presence. How can we cultivate that inner place? Basically, by cultivating, I believe, these 3 instruments of inner knowing, which are the open mind, the open heart, and the open will. And what I mean with open mind is the capacity to suspend our old habits of judgment. What I mean with open heart is the capacity to redirect how we look at a problem from my angle to looking at a problem from the viewpoint of other stakeholders in the system, particularly the stakeholders that are most marginalized. And what I mean, redirecting really is, an open heart really is about accessing the power of our empathy, of empathic listening. And what I mean with open will is basically the capacity to do this, letting go and letting come. Letting go of old intentions, old identities, and letting come of emerging future possibilities that stay in need of me to come into reality more fully.